Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and we are live and underway here on this fine evening on Friday evening in January, where it's actually been kind of warmer and the snow is melting, and it's making me happy in a real playful, childlike way. But I am a simple man. And hope you guys had a great week. Welcome to your weekend, and thank you so much for spending part of it right here with us on the Paranormal Portal. And if you're listening on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, TalkStream Live, great to see you guys. Thanks for sticking around, and we hope to keep you wildly entertained. And for those of you on YouTube, good to see you all. Thanks for coming in and being a part of the journey, as always. And just to put it out there, I'm not doing this alone. I'm way too childlike for that. I need help, and my help came in the form of a bearded man who stumbled up on the step just a little bit ago. And that is, of course, our wonderful friend and co-host, Mr. Don Longbeard, the Big Toe. How you doing, brother? Alrighty then.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just centering. I didn't realize we were live yet.
We are live.
All right.
This is no longer a rehearsal.
Oh.
Like we ever rehearse.
Right. The only thing we rehearse is our death every day. One of these days.
One of these days, the big one's coming, damn it.
I'm coming, Elizabeth. I'm coming. Here I come.
Grab your chest and reach for this guy. Yeah. Little Sanford and Son, folks.
Sanford and Son.
But welcome, everybody. And Don, how you doing, brother?
Doing good. Ready for the weekend.
Ready for the weekend.
Yep.
Me too. As always, the gateway to the weekend is Friday, and we have 2 full hours of fun here on the Paranormal.
We are the gateway. We're the Paranormal Portal.
We're
the gateway.
Did you say Paranormal?
Oh, my gosh.
I swear to God, it sounded like you said Paranormal. Like, what? Oh, you can't pay for this. It's just free. It's only free. I don't know. Good to see everybody. Hi, Mom. Good to see you, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Hi,
She's
Rachel.
out there. All these wonderful people are piling in, and it just makes my heart swell with love all the time. Turn on the lights, and you guys just pile in, and it just makes me feel amazing. So thank you for making me feel amazing.
You know what we need? We need a campfire, a big old bonfire. That'd be, yeah.
Oh my God, the landlord would be pissed. Yeah, it doesn't go well with.
I didn't mean the house.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm just saying.
I didn't say we need a house fire.
Right. Well, that's a big fire. So I'm just throwing that out there. That's the first thing that came to mind.
Oh boy.
No, it'd be fun to do sometime, is to do a bonfire show and just try to figure out how to do that and make it entertaining, other than looking at 2 fat guys around a fire.
I know how to do it.
What's that?
It would take our friend Cindy to do it, though.
Oh, okay.
But,
Okay.
She's got internet. That's all.
She does.
Yeah.
Yep, we could do it. Well, maybe we'll put something like that together this summer, and we'll get out and look for UFOs and stuff too. We still got to do that. We've been talking about that for about the last 4 years. After I captured the footage and stuff, I was like, Tom, we got to do that, especially out by your house where it's all completely black. Night. There's no light pollution at all.
Yeah. When I get my hay barn cleared out, there'll be a big empty spot right there in the field.
Oh man, yeah. That got wiped out, didn't it?
Yep, sure did.
Oof.
Yep.
Well, there you go. That's snow load for you, folks. When you get 3 feet of snow or 4 feet of snow,
that's just a load of snow. Gosh.
Yeah, but we'll have to put that together. We're going to put together a lot of things. So far on the conference list, ladies and gentlemen, right now we're set up to go to Vernal, Utah in September for the International Bigfoot and Paracon are combining. Phenomicon are combining to do a grand event. In Vernal, Utah, and we're going to be there for sure. We got a booth and everything all set up, so we're going to do that. But other than that, we're waiting to hear what's going to be announced for conferences this year, and we're going to make as many as we can. Because Don and I, we like to travel, right?
He likes to travel.
I like it when you drive.
Yeah.
I can drive too. It's just better when you do it.
Because you can sleep. Because you can sleep.
It's awesome. It was awesome. But anyway, folks, there's a lot on the list, on the to-do list for this year, and we're trying to put it all together. But as things become available, and as we come, book in things, we'll let you know if anything when those things are happening. And any of you in the area, we'd love to meet you. So if you're going to be in Utah around September, by all means, make the journey, because there's going to be some amazing talent showing up there. Bob Gimlin's going to be there, as far as we know so far, and Russ Accord, the cast of Expedition Bigfoot, is supposed to be there as well, and several other people, including Stacy Brown. I know he's announced.
Right.
So
yeah,
there's a bunch.
Gosh, I can't remember.
I mean, there's just a lot already dedicated to it, and we're just going to keep, keep loving it as it comes close, and we'll continue to announce any additions as they come up. But let's see. I guess we should get to the news, huh?
The news.
Let's get to the news while the clock is burning here. All right, here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal newscast, and we are going to go over the stories that have come. Oh, thank you, Maggie. Maggie says, you guys make me laugh so much, I might get on a plane. Yeah. Okay, probably not, but I love Paranormal Portal. We love you too. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We would love to meet all of you, and hopefully through the ages, as the show grows, we'll be able to get out more and meet more and more of you. So that's definitely on the to-do list, the bucket list, as it were. But I got some stories pulled up for you all to hopefully bring you up to date on what's going on in the world of the wild and weird and the odd and festive. I don't know how festive worked into there, but it came into my head, so I said it. The first article up to bat is from unexplained-mysteries.com, and it is remains found of a man and dog who tried to flee tsunami. Now, this is not current events, folks. This is a new article, but the remains were rather old. They were 3,600 years old, as a matter of fact.
To be seen.
Well, apparently the remains were seen. 3,600 years ago, a volcanic eruption in the Aegean Sea produced a torrent of devastating tsunamis. The eruption of the volcano Thera in 1600 BC was widely considered to be one of the most destructive natural disasters in human history, causing utter devastation across the entire region and even contributing to the demise of the Minoan civilization. It erupted with the force of 2 million Hiroshima bombs, enough to cause huge tidal waves that spread the destruction far and wide, as well as a volcanic winter that would have been felt as far away as China. Surprisingly, however, despite the number of people who must have been killed, the remains of only a single victim had ever been found. Those of a man buried in rubble in Santorini.
What's his name, Barney?
Hey, you Fred. Now, though, archaeologists in Western Turkey have discovered the remains of a man and his dog who were thought to have been killed by the ensuing tsunamis that swept the region. And interesting, I was reading this like butter soft scrubs. What the hell is that?
What?
I don't know. It's an ad that popped up. It's like, I don't know what's going on here. Interestingly, there was evidence of a pit dug above the man's body, suggesting that someone had either attempted to rescue him or they had wished to retrieve his remains for proper burial. A second tsunami wave, however, ultimately prevented them from succeeding. The scene serves as a chilling reminder of the destructive power of Mother Nature, as well as a warning that such an event could one day happen again. Well, it has. I mean, that's not... Tsunamis are still happening. The Indonesia tsunami, of course, was horrible. The Japan was terrible as well. So they are still happening. But anyway, there's some pictures. For those of you on YouTube, you can check that out. But this is from unexplained-mysteries.com. Any of the rest of you that are just listening, if you want to see more or learn more, that's where you find it. Okay, so that's the first one up to bat, Don. The next one I've got set aside for our entertainment tonight is this one's an odd one. It's coming from a U.S. airman who has a report of witnessing UFO, and this is from January 14th, so it's brand new. But it says again, unexplained-mysteries.com. U.S. airman witnessed UFO and shadow person while guarding nukes.
Wow.
Adrian Reister, a former U.S. Air Force nuclear weapons technician, has spoken out about his experiences. Reister had been stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri between 2003 and 2007, where he was tasked with guarding, moving, and maintaining a stockpile of nuclear weapons. Like many of those stationed at such facilities, however, he reported a number of strange sightings and experiences during his time there that even to this day he has been unable to explain. In one instant, Reister encountered a strange object, trees. I noticed a light orb hovering along the top of the tree line. I thought it was just a star at the time, but as I continued surveilling the area, the light/orb shot above the treetops and hung there for some time, he told the Liberation Times. I'm not sure what that is, but maybe it was a satellite, I thought, but then it bounced a little in the sky and then shot to the left, north, then shot 90 degrees straight up and disappeared. Even stranger was what he experienced during the summer of 2006. While working on the night shift, he recalled hearing the footsteps of someone without any shoes. I saw what I can't really describe as other than a black mass in the shape of a person standing at 6 feet, he said. Not really a shadow, but something that was slightly blurry and didn't reflect any light. To this day, no explanation for either of the phenomena he encountered has been forthcoming. That really makes you wonder, though. So, what if there were both extraterrestrial events? Like that was just some humanoid being that was kind of phased, but is checking out the...
Oh, like a beam me down to the planet
Yeah,
kind of thing?
yeah, but it was just kind of out of phase, so it could, like a stealth kind of thing,
Gotcha.
I don't know. Makes you wonder. Makes you wonder. Or if there's technology like that among our military, who knows?
That's what what has ever become of the Philadelphia project?
Right.
So maybe instead of going just full, invisible, they just went, well, let's just do, Predator kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, like a stealth thing. It probably fits on a belt now.
Probably. You could probably get it, implanted into your hand.
Right. Yeah. You just press on your temple or something.
Yeah. What's wrong? You're blinking in and out. I can't remember. What's wrong? Blink, 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 blink.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
I think so, because it's got to be something like that, because if it was truly a supernatural event in the form of like a spirit,
right?
It would have at least some kind of pattern to it. You'd think, like if it was residual, if it was intelligent, it could be as well, but. I don't know. Why around a nuclear dump or a nuclear storage site? That to me just seems like something wanted to take a look.
Well, but then again, we had the Cold War era, flybys where, they were shutting down, the
silos.
The silos, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you never, who knows,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There does seem to be
a correlation. Yeah.
A correlation between extraterrestrial events and nuclear storage for weapon grade storage and energy as well. They tend to manage to be seen quite a bit around nuclear power plants.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, there you go. That's a weird story, but at any rate, we don't know anymore, so that's what we're reporting. What we know, we're telling you.
Well, let me report this real quick. So I looked up the Phenomenon in Vernal.
Yes.
And so there's going to be Russ, Mr. Bob Gimlin, James Keenan, Bryant Arnold, Thomas Witherton, and Eric Bard from Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, cool.
Travis Taylor, Mr. Dr. Jeff Meldrum.
Oh, that's right, Jeff Meldrum.
Stacy Brown, April Slaughter, Greg Lawson, and somebody I want to meet, Jim Vieira.
Oh, nice.
Jim Vieira is from the Mound Builders. He's a giant expert.
Oh, is he the on the?
Yeah, that you were watching that one.
Yeah,
yeah.
On the History Channel or whatever. The guy looking around for giants.
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Right.
That's him. Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool.
That'll be really cool. So there's lots to see if you guys come. That's another. It says the news, so that was news. We'll go with it. But anyway, that'll be a fun event. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to more too. I'm hoping. Where the hell did my mouse go? I'm hoping there's a lot more going to be announced pretty quick. Any trouble on YouTube that you're hearing about?
Oh, I'm not. I wasn't watching. I was looking up Vernal, Utah.
Okay.
I see everything rolling just fine.
Okay, good. All right, I just got a warning.
Yeah.
Bandwidth thing. Oh, there's not enough. Oh, really? Looks like enough to me. Just saying.
Looks like it's squeaking through.
So I'm not going to read this whole next article, but apparently this is some development on getting people back to the moon, which I find kind of interesting because, they basically did it by lobbing a trash can up in the 60s.
Yep.
And now it's like taking so much planning and weirdness in order to get back there. It's like,
right, yeah.
I mean, they basically strapped people to a bottle rocket before.
It was programmed by a calculator.
and got them to the moon, but now it's going to take all this other stuff. But this is Artemis 1, the first step towards humanity's return to the moon. So why is it so much harder now, Don?
Technology is more difficult, more complex, more expensive.
Well, this is the
NASA's
first one.
Still foolish.
Stuff.
That's what I said.
Yeah. I think it's kind of odd. Now, I'm not a moon denier like some people are, and that's fine if they are. I just don't know enough about it. I don't pretend to know enough about it. I know there's controversy. There's some people that believe no, there's no way we were on the moon. If we were on the moon, why didn't we go back? Good point. We did go back many times allegedly during that period, but now all of a sudden we can't get back there for, many, many decades. Why? I don't know. And now they have to develop this new spacesuits, and they got this radiation issue all of a sudden. Why didn't they have that before? What was going on? So it almost lends credibility to the whole conspiracy idea, doesn't it? That since it's all of a sudden so much harder to get back.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it does to me.
Well,
I don't know.
It just doesn't make sense. I mean,
doesn't.
It's just silicone and aluminum foil.
Right. Yeah, really.
Really. And angles.
And angles.
Because TV is all about angles.
It is.
Trust me.
As is live streaming.
I didn't say
Thank you. I had to work on this angle. This one works for me. Any other angle is absolute train wreck.
That's his good side.
This is my good, I don't know, angle.
Better side.
Yeah. It goes rapidly downhill from here.
Fourth Keller, we don't talk about Tony Merkel here. What are you doing?
What is he saying?
He says Tony Merkel just had a moon guy on the Confessionals podcast. He was a skeptic. He was skeptical of us going to the moon. So, well, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, I think that. Well, I mean, there's decent arguments for the whole thing. Yeah. I don't know, and certainly if you look at when that happened, there was a big competition between us and Russia to get there first, and so if we actually couldn't get there first, maybe the next best thing was Hollywood.
Right.
We can make it look like we got there first. I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy person. I really do believe we probably were there, but I just don't understand why is it so much harder now.
Yeah. That's the part that makes no sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we sent two Voyager, and they're out in space. They're out of our solar system.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Yep.
And that was in the early 70s.
Right.
And we sent them to the moon in 1969.
Yep.
And then all the Apollo missions, all I think there was 18, 16, 17. 16 or 17. There's one that they don't talk about, which is 17. That's supposedly the one that they brought back the mummified body of the woman on. And then Apollo 13, a little mishap there.
Which had Tom Hanks.
Yes, exactly. Never go traveling with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, don't ever go traveling with Tom Hanks. You'll end up on an island or stranded in space. Or
in the sea.
Or,
land in planes in the Hudson.
Yeah. The man's a traveling nightmare. So anyway, just stay home. If Tom Hanks is on the list, just stay home.
Forget it.
Call in sick that day. But yeah, this is a pretty big article, and we don't have time for it. But they're talking about all the things that they're having to do, but it's just like, why? Okay.
Right.
Anyway, I wanted to touch on that just conversationally because I think that's quite interesting, as it were. All right, let's go to the next one. I got to see how much time we got here. 6 minutes? Yeah, we're okay. We're okay, Don.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, this one is, again, from unexplained-mysteries.com. Mysteries Revisited, Spontaneous Human Combustion.
Really?
Yes.
We haven't talked about that in a while.
Not in a long time, so we're revisiting it now in the news. This is an article that popped up on unexplained-mysteries.com. Precisely what befell Sarah Morley, who was found burnt to ashes in 1902, would remain a topic of debate for decades. The terrifying case occurred in England on May of that year when a policeman who had been passing Morley's house noticed smoke inside and quickly entered the property to check on its resident. What he found, much to his surprise, was not a raging inferno, but a room that seemed untouched by fire, aside from a pile of ashes and a heap of burnt clothing on the floor. A further investigation revealed that the ashes were in fact the remains of Mrs. Morley. But how could her body have been incinerated with such intense heat and ferocity within a room full of soft furnishings without setting fire to anything else? At the time, it was considered plausible that Mrs. Morley had, through processes unknown, burnt to death in a case of spontaneous human combustion. It seems probable that the woman's clothes caught fire, Dr. Ernest George Archer wrote in an article for the British Medical Journal at the time, but how is one to account for the absolute cremation of a body in the midst of a sitting room filled with furniture? I may say the remains were seen with me by a brother practitioner, and we were both agreed that the several features of the case were beyond comprehension. A similar case reported a few years earlier was also highlighted again, involving an elderly woman who had been living alone and whose body had been incinerated despite no other fire damage to the room. The phenomenon would go on to perplex the authorities for decades. While modern science has since offered at least some theories, the phenomenon of spontaneous human combustion continues to remain a particularly chilling addition to the annals of the unexplained. That is a weird one. It takes a pretty intense heat to break down the body into just ashes, even the bone and stuff. So I don't understand it, but I've seen pictures like showing like charred, there's like feet and shoes and legs, and then it just ends in like a charred stump on both of them. And then there's ashes in this burned out lazy chair.
Yeah, the lazy boy.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, how did that happen? Satan?
Satan?
Yeah, you got to wonder. It's like, what the hell went wrong here? But I don't know. I don't pretend to know. But it's a strange phenomenon, folks, and this is a strange world we live in for sure. Let's get on to the next one. I don't have any answers for that one. That was just weird. It almost, you got to wonder, is it like, I've heard alcohol could be a thing, like, they were possibly very inebriated and something they took reacted with the alcohol, and I don't know. But I think that's still quite a big stretch.
Yeah, that's a big stretch.
Let's go on to the next one here, and this one is man receives genetically modified pig heart through transplant breakthrough. Yes, folks, you can now get your own pig heart. You get tired of your own heart, get a pig heart. Smells like bacon when I work out.
Oh, my.
The 57-year-old became the first person ever to undergo the transplant. David Bennett, who has terminal heart disease, underwent the procedure at a University of Maryland medical center this week after doctors were granted a special dispensation to carry out the transplant on the basis that he would have died without it. It was either die or do with this transplant, he said beforehand. I know it's a shot in the dark, but it's my last choice. The transplant was unique in that it used a heart from a pig that had been genetically modified to disable certain genes that would have seen it rejected by the recipient. Bennett was ineligible for a human heart transplant because of his ill health.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's like, no, my heart's good, but I'd like another, please.
Bear pig man.
Yeah, beer pig man. Incredibly, the procedure went well and is now recovering in a hospital with his new heart. The success is particularly important because if it is possible to use pig organs in humans, it could mean that the lives of thousands of patients on the organ waiting list could be saved. As things stand, however, the long-term outlook for Bennett remains uncertain. He's at more of a risk because we require more immunosuppression, slightly different than we would normally do in a human-to-human transplant, said Dr. Christine Lau. How well the patient does from now on is, it's never been done before, so we really don't know. People die all the time on the waiting list waiting for organs. If we could use genetically engineered pig organs, they'd never have to wait. They could basically get an organ as they needed it. Yeah, and then you got dinner too. Grab an organ and dinner in one shot.
Captain Porkheart.
That's right. All I can say is that's sweet.
Oh, my.
Sorry. It's my best pig. I don't know. Good luck to the guy. I hope it goes well, but I have a feeling they're going to learn a lot from this one. You don't want to be the first guy.
Just don't swine about it.
Yeah. Quit your swining.
Quit your swining.
So we're going to hell, Don. You know that, right?
Well, and of course, what's happening when we get in the car, what's happening there? I'm driving.
You're driving. All right. I think that's going to be where we're going to end the news today, folks. So,
well, hold on. Now I'm sorry. I have to say this.
Okay, but we've got
what?
Seconds.
Yeah. Seconds?
Yeah.
Well, they're doing modified pigs anyhow, so
That's true.
Bear
They are
pig.
genetically
Bear pig.
modifying our food anyway,
So I forgot we were on a network night.
that's right. So might as well get some organs out of the
Too
deal
much.
anyway.
Yeah.
All right. See, they don't just end up in sausage that way.
Oh my gosh.
All right, let's go. That's it for the news. We'll get back to the break in just a second. ladies and gentlemen, we are in the second half hour of the journey. Oof. It's flying by.
Get in, sit down, shut up, and hang on.
I wish you had you on your own camera and I could isolate that. That would be. I think we probably can. We can, through the wonders of digital editing, we can probably edit that and use it as a promo.
Have fun with that.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be the Longbeard promo. But welcome back, folks. We waited through the news. We had a lot of fun doing the news, as always.
Waded through the news.
We made it.
Oh, made it.
Not waited. I said we made it. So now we're going to visit an article that we've been going through for a while from factinate.com. We got several great articles coming up tonight that we're going to be going through. A few from Phantoms and Monsters, and then one or two from Brent Swanser. We'll see where we get to, but I want to hit a few of these on this Factinate article that we've been going through. Experienced terrified people, creepiest experiences. I don't know what the actual name is of the article now. Let me go back up around 36. It's terrified people reveal creepiest experiences. And some of these are not as paranormal as others, but...
Have you met my son's mom?
No, I haven't. And sounds like that's...
Creepy experience.
Ooh, zing. All right. Let's see. All right, so here's the article from factinate.com. I got it all queued up.
Hey, Christy. Hi, Christy. Is it really your birthday today? Happy birthday if it is, Christy.
Christy, really?
Yeah, that's what it said. I don't know. It said, I saw something that said it was Christy Sci-Fi's birthday.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Christy Sci-Fi. Hope you're having a great night, and thank you so much for coming in. Actually, why don't we just do a few shout-outs here while we're at it? I got on the TFR chat. We got Bams in there, of course. He's always with us. And Marky Mark 85. Wow. Gemini's over there. How you doing, Gemini?
Hi, Gemini.
AP1 is in there. It's AP1. And then Great Guest is in there. So those are the people hanging out on TFR. Who's on YouTube?
Well, let me.
If you want to shout out, you've got to chat.
Yeah, you got to chat because there's only like 5 people that are showing up in the participants list. Yeah, there's Aggravated Progressive. How are you? Brooks just popped in. Dee's here. Digger Dog's here. Elaine's here. Christy Sci-Fi. Maggie. R. Stahlbaum. Rachel's here. And Tracy Gale. That's all I see in there.
Well, Mom's here.
Mom's here. Portal Mom's always here. And
Rachel gets it right. Is here.
Tree's here. Excellent.
Good. Sherry. Good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Christy Lee just popped in.
Kirsten. Yep.
Kirsten. Yes. Oh my God, I can't read today. It's
that's
been
all
one
right.
of those days.
It's okay.
But that's it. So there you go. Because now people are Kirk Robinson.
Laura Lovegood.
Yep. There you go. So. All right, well, that's it.
Justin Goodearth, good.
Oh, Justin's here finally. It's been a while, brother.
He said he's lurking.
Yeah, lurking, yeah. The fourth color's lurking.
Okay.
So, Elaine's here. Did I say Elaine?
Okay.
Elaine.
So, Christy does say today is my birthday.
It is her birthday. Congratulations. Woohoo.
You made another year.
Welcome 29th. Happy 29th.
Happy birthday.
Woohoo.
Absolutely. All right, so in honor of her birthday, let's do some paranormal.
Sure.
Which we do anyway, but we're going to dedicate this to you.
Yeah.
36 on this list is where we're at, and this is
29.
29. Okay. Well, me too.
Exactly.
Number 36. Don't be a tool. My brother had the craziest experience. He was working at our house because he kept a vintage car in our garage. It was a detached garage with a gated yard, and he was totally alone in the house. He was just working away when all of a sudden his toolbox moved across the floor. There was no one else there, and no wind or anything else like that. He got totally creeped out, packed up, and got out of there. Yeah, that might kill your work ethic. That house was odd, though. It was an Edwardian and quite big. We had a couple of other odd happenings there. My father-in-law saw a figure walk behind him in a mirror, and I saw a figure in our bedroom. I don't know if that figure was the same one that moved my brother's toolbox or not.
Well, that figures.
I gotta give you that.
Jeez, I worked so hard.
I know you earned it. You earned it. That was by McJady. I don't know. McJady, I think. Okay. So yeah, I think if your toolbox moves by itself, That's not a good sign. I'm replaying Skyrim Limited Edition while listening. Very good, sir. Godspeed to you, man. Godspeed. All right, number 37, don't be afraid to dream. The strangest thing happened to me when I was 14 or 15. I played soccer at the time, and I even had a dream about being in front of a mirror, like where the mirror and sink are separate from the rest of the bathroom, almost like the kind they have at hotels. I was brushing my hair and putting it up like I always did before games. It wasn't the weirdest dream I've ever had. I quickly forgot about it, and the next few weeks later, I accepted a position on a team that would be going to a national tournament in Tennessee. Flash forward like 6 months, and I was in the hotel brushing my hair exactly like in the dream. Wow. The mirror, sink, and room were exactly the same, and I thought maybe it was a good omen. Or that I had powers or something. Ooh. I have the power of premonition. That was by Amazing Lexus. Apparently she's amazing.
Apparently, yeah.
Well, she made a team, so good for her. So that's a good start. Number 38, wonderful witchcraft. A couple of things happened to me and my housemate when we were moved into the top apartment of an old building in Europe, right next to a forest known for witchcraft. Ooh, those darn witches. The locals even have a witches parade every year, and they said it was a harmless bit of fun. But we had some experiences that made me think otherwise. There was definitely something going on. The apartment was huge, 3 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms. 3 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms? Wow. They do it right over there, apparently. A study rather, not sturdy. 2 living rooms, living space, a kitchen, 2 balconies. The bigger one was upstairs across from a door into the attic that ran across the entire house. Wow. It was dark and full of a lot of old stuff, and it was stuff from like a century ago. We found porcelain, really old wooden furniture, and a doll neither of us wanted to touch. I think of you every time I think of haunted dolls.
No, I don't want to touch dolls either.
Apart from some of the odd stuff, it was a wonderful place to live, and the cheap rent made it even better. It didn't take long for both of us to get mildly creeped out in the apartment, though. We used to hear stuff while in our rooms, like banging or footsteps or something had fallen on the carpets. My housemate would text me, "Did you hear that too?" When we couldn't explain the noises, she never wanted to talk about it. I guess she didn't want to give it any power by acknowledging it, if that's how witchcraft works. Yeah, okay. It's how the paranormal works, I think. But I guess, but I clearly remember the first time she was out. It was winter, so it got dark earlier, and I needed to grab groceries, so I left all the lights on to make myself feel better. I tried to look for my earphones for some music along the way, but I couldn't find them, and I left without them. When I returned, every single light in the house had been switched off except for the one in my room. Oh. When I went into my room, my earphones were lying neatly rolled up on the top of my bed. My housemate wasn't even home. I guess they were nice witches. Oh. Why does it have to be witches? I don't know why this person is absolutely, just dialed into this whole witch thing.
Well, because it said that it was...
there's a town full, where they had witch festivals and stuff and witchy woods, but could have just been, some people that liked their house and didn't want to leave. Yeah. At least they weren't destructive. I mean, it was, hey, turn off the lights. You've got to pay for that.
Oh, D.
What?
D says, I used to hear banging in the upstairs apartments, but that's their biz.
Ooh, hey. Family show here. Family show.
Come on now. Come on.
All right. That was by Zertzer. Zertzer. Zertzer.
Yeah. Just another name to the murder.
All right. Number 39. Let's have a ball or a BAWL. BALL or BAWL. I worked as a tour guide in an old 18th century mansion. Lots of unexplained things would happen quite regularly. And this one time, while I was with some guests in the former ballroom, a little boy asked his mom, "Mommy, why are there children crying upstairs?" Of course, nobody else could hear it, but the little boy was totally convinced. Above us in the ballroom would have been the old nursery where 2 young girls tragically lost their lives in the 19th century. That nursery was on the 3rd floor, and the entire level just had a very strange vibe to it. It still gives me the creeps just thinking about it. Yeah, I'll bet. That was by, Miss Anonymousium? I don't know how to say that. That's a lot of letters all strewn together.
Why do you even try?
Well, because I'm rehearsing.
Yeah. Because you're going to MC yeah, that's it. Special guest MC, Brent Thomas from the Paranormal Portal.
Yeah, they didn't invite me for that reason.
Yeah,
Tom.
well, you know.
We weren't invited for that. We were not utilized in that fashion.
Hey, we want to see. We need monkeys. Can you guys come? We need monkeys.
We'll be the guys outside with sandwich boards. Come on in. The door's this way.
I could see Russ doing that to us. I could so see Russ doing that.
Number 40. The least relaxing bath ever. Yeah. We'll be swinging those signs outside and stuff.
Yeah, it's toilet signs.
Yeah, you'll be dorking us out somehow, I'm sure.
You better pay well.
Yeah. I woke up in the bath at 5:45 p.m. I wouldn't be making a big deal of it if I had any idea how I had gotten into the tub in the first place. But I had no memory of getting there. Sounded like a good night.
And good night.
Yeah, I had some fragments of memory, like seeing my own hand turning on the tap. It wasn't any kind of medication or anything, so that can't explain the memory loss. And the worst thing was the fear. When I woke up, I felt an inexplicable, almost primordial dread. It lasted for hours. I was shaking. Couldn't even function. It still freaks me out just thinking about it, and that's not even the eeriest part. That would be when it happened again, 10 years later. Exact same thing. I think something might have happened in that tub, Don. Yeah. What are you thinking?
I know a lot of things have happened in my tub.
Again, in the spirit of keeping this a family show, I got to shut my mouth.
G.I. Joe swimming in the water.
Along came a brown shark. Eddie Murphy delirious, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus. Oh. Number 41.
41, not 14.
While we're still monetized. Shared dreams. A few years ago, I woke up to 2 text messages from my girlfriend and a friend of mine. Both asked if I was all right. Apparently, they had both had the same dream. In their dream, a giant red truck had struck me down at an intersection that I routinely took. The two of them weren't close, and I had no reason to suspect that they were playing a prank on me. It was just really spooky that they both had the same dream, the same night, with the same details. And I don't think it'll take that. I'll take that intersection anytime soon. Yeah, I don't think you should either. That was by Boogali. See, that was easy, Don. Boogali. Number 42, the Phantom Plumber.
Really?
She's standing by to lay some pipe. Thank you.
That goes in the bathtub.
Since we're already circling the drain. Thank you.
Oh, no.
Sorry. You poor people. What have you done?
Suckers.
Number 42, the Phantom Plumber. My wife and I had bought a new house a while back.
Can you put that crack away, please?
Why is there so much crack in your tub? All right, back to the show. My wife and I had bought a new house a while back. After we took possession of the keys, we stopped by to look it over and plan some projects. We had some big plans for the house, but apparently the house had bigger plans for us. No matter how I try, I can't explain what happened in the house on that first day. It was just so creepy. As we walked around the house, I noticed the faucet in the kitchen dripping. Well, I took it apart to change the washer, but couldn't put it back together. I was really frustrated, and my wife was impatient, so I just left it with all the parts scattered around the counter, and I was going to tackle it later, but there would be no need for that. When I came back the next day, the faucet was fully reassembled and wasn't leaking anymore. No one else had keys to the house. If the place was haunted, they were the nicest ghosts ever.
That doesn't have to be. That doesn't have to be ghosts, though.
What is it?
Domovoy.
Oh, Domovoy. Good point. Yeah, could be. Could be a house guardian.
Gnomes,
yeah. That was by KJ Fitz.
You know, I mean, the shoemaker had the little elves. You know, why not? You know,
right? Yeah. No, that's true. Could be the little people, little gnomes.
Yeah.
House gnomes, perhaps, trying to help you out. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great story. I think, if you're going to have paranormal stuff happening,
you might as well be helping out.
They might as well be pitching in. Absolutely.
And ghost
That's a great story, actually. All right, number 43, let's play ball. Growing up, I had a basketball-themed room. I had a basketball hoop on my wall as a decoration, the kind without the pole that you would hang on a garage.
Because Mom's got it.
Okay. Bastard. You're going to lose microphone privileges. Jesus God. Okay.
My mic's too hot anyhow.
It's way too. Let's put it down around 1. Let's put it at 1 rather than 10. Oh God. All right. The kind you'd hang on a garage. Our actual basketball hoop was outside, and the net had become extremely weathered and tattered. Our homeowners association made us replace it, so we used the net from my room's goal. When I got around to replacing the net in my room, it was late at night, right before going to bed. The new net was way thicker than the old one, and I couldn't even get one loop through the hooks on the rim. I probably tried to get just one hoop over the net for 10 minutes before throwing it across the room in intense frustration. I went to bed angry. Now, I've always slept with my door closed and locked, even to this day, and that makes what happened extremely creepy. After falling asleep, the next thing I remembered was waking up in my bed. I was hazy, but eventually woke up enough to see that my door was open. This instantly confused and startled me, and what I saw after was even more confusing and startling. A black hooded silhouette slowly waddled its way into the open frame of my doorway. It stood completely still and just stared at me from my open door.
Wow.
This frightened me so much that I jerked awake for real this time. I rubbed my eyes to be sure that I was actually seeing what I was seeing. When I opened my eyes again, the door was still closed and locked. It was the middle of the night, so I started falling back to sleep, but when I rolled over, I noticed that my basketball goal net was completely attached to the rim. Not just one loop, the whole thing. The plastic hooks had been bent and contorted in order to fit the insanely thick net. Needless to say, I couldn't sleep for the rest of that night.
Yeah, it's because he was up playing ball all night.
No, but this is another one that could be a house spirit or house elf or something.
Absolutely.
Because he said a small figure waddled in and
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
The waddle threw me off.
Yep. And light and me, 23.
How you use that, Mom?
Jeez. All right, moving on. Number 44, I will not say cheese. When I was in high school, I applied for a job at a supermarket. I had just come from school and was still wearing my uniform. The counter to apply was a little high for me, so I had to stand up on my tippy toes. Anyways, after being there for about 5 minutes, a woman tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Not sure how to tell you this, but I wouldn't feel right not saying anything. That man just took a photo under your skirt." Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's horrible. I looked, and there was this dude speed walking to the subway entrance. I couldn't catch up, but even if I did, what would I have done? Mm-hmm. It was the creepiest thing that's ever happened. That's just horrible. Jesus, people.
That's not...
That's not paranormal. That's just absolutely freaking creepy. Ugh. Man, some people are twisted. All right. I don't want to read more of that kind, though.
Yes, Maggie, I'd like a house elf, too.
Okay, I think I'm going to skip that one, too. It doesn't look real paranormally. Where are we at for time? 6 minutes? Yeah. I'll try to find at least one more to read here.
Rent a gnome.
Call collect. It says number 46, call collect, rent a gnome. That'd be nice. You could just get one for the weekend.
Exactly.
Number 46, call collect. My Nana, great-grandmother, and my mom were very close, but lived overseas from one another my whole life. They talked on the phone every Sunday, but because it was an international call, it was extremely expensive. They took turns calling every Sunday at 8 a.m. to make the cost equal. However, due to a 4-minute difference in clocks, Nana always ended up calling at 8:04 a.m. For some reason, whenever my Nana called, the caller ID never showed up. Anyhow, my mom learned that Nana had passed away on a Tuesday following their Sunday call. The following week, we were sitting at the table eating breakfast, and my mom noticed that it was 7:50 a.m. Nana would have been calling any minute. Needless to say, my mom got emotional. Just then, at exactly 8:04 a.m. on the nose, the phone rang. The caller ID once again showed that it was an unknown caller. We looked at each other like, what's going on? Is this some kind of joke? My mom mustered up the courage to answer the phone. There was nothing but static on the other line and some garbled voice recording. The only decipherable words were, "We hope you enjoy your trip to paradise."
Oh.
And then the phone cut off. I have absolutely no explanation for that one. It still baffles me to this day and creeps me out. Sorry, Nana, that's weird. I think it's awesome. That was by Smitty W.R. Berman Jensen. Yeah. I think that's a great call. I mean, I love those calls. There's so many stories of people receiving ghostly phone calls.
Right.
Most of them I think are really positive, but some of them have actually been creepy. Like there was one on celebrity ghost stories, and I can't remember the guy, but he was a black guy that was talking. It was a celebrity from some show, and he was telling a story about this one guy that he grew up with, and they were friends throughout his entire life, but they kind of drifted apart because this guy kind of went all the way negative and did some real shady stuff, and the guy that was the celebrity obviously went the other direction and had a decent life. But he said as an adult, he heard that his friend had passed away. And I think he'd been killed or something, or overdosed or something like that. I think it was shot, that he was shot. And he said that he was, of course, feeling terrible about that and moping around. And he got a phone call. And on the phone was his friend going, I need you to help me. You got to help me. You got to help me. This is terrible. They're coming. You got to help me. Only you can save me.
Wow.
And then the static and such was happening, and then basically he heard his friend like screaming, "Help me! Only you can do it!" as the voice was getting further and further away, and the guy on the show was like, "I didn't know what he meant. I had no idea. To this day, I still don't know."
Right.
And I was thinking, maybe it was prayer, maybe he needed a prayer, or something. Like, I don't know. I'm not a overly, religious person in the traditional sense, but I'm very spiritual. But, I know that there's power in prayers, and maybe that guy needed that redemption or something because of the problems in his life. But yeah, that's a scary story. So but most of them are just like this, like, these. There's been stories we've covered too. I don't know if you remember, Don, or if you were even here on the nights, but there was one story where these people moved into this house and then I don't remember, I think they were sleeping, and somebody had called for some reason, and somebody answered the phone and talked to the person that called, and then they came over and said, "Well, who is it that answered your phone?" And they said, "Well, we just got up like just a little bit ago. Who are you talking about?" "I don't know, some old woman answered the phone."
Oh. Wow. Nope. I don't remember that one.
Yeah. Well, that was, I'm paraphrasing it, of course, but those kind of stories are really incredible, I think. And I think that's, if it's electronic, spirits don't seem to have much trouble.
No.
In
the manipulation.
In manipulating electronic stuff. Yeah. I think that they do it pretty well. And so.
You can ask Charlie Sheen on your TV.
Yeah, that's true. That's a real story. Charlie Sheen's face, he's not dead though, is he?
Probably not.
I mean, almost, but no, it was just his face was frozen with the word infamous. Yeah, that was really creepy. I mean, it didn't bother me, but it was just one of those like, I can't explain that one away, and nobody could. It was just one of those things. It's like, ooh, that's real.
Laura Lovegood, how do you know we're getting action figures?
Getting your own action figures. Yeah. I hope so. Don and I were just talking about that. Would it be kind of cool to have our own action figures?
Yeah, be jealous. We're jelly of Mr. Tony, that's for sure.
No, Tony's done a great job, and all those people that are have gotten those action figures from. Yeah. What's the guy's name? Charlie.
Charlie Perez. Yeah, Charlie Perez.
Charlie Perez makes these these. I mean, they're really good. They come in the packaging and everything, and it looks like a store-bought action figure like you'd get from a toy store.
Right.
But it's featuring all of these paranormal figures, like
Ken
Gerhardt, Lyle Lovegood,
Cliff Barrickman just
Cliff.
got his.
Oh yeah, Cliff,
Yeah.
and the list goes on and on. But Tony Merkel of the Confessionals podcast
Yep.
and Hammer Lane Legends just got one, and I was like, oh, that is so neat. So someday we're hoping to make the criteria to get our own action figures. So that's the background on that comment. But there's the bell, folks. We are going to be right back in just a couple minutes. We're at the hour. The network breaks count, so we'll be right back.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, ripping scars across my heart. Raging anger boils inside me as their lies keep falling apart. But I'm not broken yet. I'm not broken yet. I'm not broken I am finished with my silence. I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness. Just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise. You're just another fucking gas. Taking off the slice of my sanity. Just make sure that you're well fed. I'm not broken yet. I'm not broken yet. I'm not broken yet. I'm not broken
They linger in a perpetual dream state, a nightmare from which they cannot wake. I can't see you, Mommy. Where are you? I've never sensed anything like it. Carol Ann is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that is different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hour number 2 is underway because it's transformative, D. It's not just utilizing the clips in a traditional way. I've utilized them as part of a song, so it's transformative. Right?
Yes.
I mean, really. I wrote the music, played the music behind it, and
and that's one of those things. That's in public domain, though, isn't it?
yeah, it's Poltergeist 1, so it's plenty old. But anyway, welcome everybody into hour number 2, and all I can say is I'm thrilled to have you with us, and we are going to dive into a bunch more of the paranormal fun. Are you ready, Don?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So first up here, we've got some articles from phantomsandmonsters.com that I wanted to go through.
There you go.
And our good friend, Mr. Lon Strickler, is always hard at work over there at phantomsandmonsters.com. So if you ever get a chance, check it out. He's got so much stuff over there that you could do a show just on his work continually for years and never run out of things to cover, because it's just incredible. And his team as well. As he mentioned when he was on the show, he's got a bunch of people that are working in concert with him to investigate and to record and substantiate this stuff. So it's phenomenal. But the first one up is an article from Phantoms and Monsters from Friday, January 14th, 2022.
Woo-hoo.
Hot off the presses,
Fresh
folks.
stuff.
This is fresh. This is as fresh as it
It's like
gets.
those tomatoes on my pizza the other night.
Oh yeah, nice. Okay, good.
Big
This
deal.
well, I mean, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Ghost needed a bath at the Nogales Hotel. This is a report coming in to phantomsandmonsters.com, and also Londa's Arcane Radio. So check that out, as well as being several books published under his efforts as well. So the man is a machine. But it says a businessman in Nogales, Arizona. A businessman is in Nogales, Arizona, and decides to stay at an old hotel in town. He soon discovers items being moved. Then at night, he hears and observes water filling in the bathtub. Wow, it's just like that other story, right? The bathtubs. Right. It says, in the mid to late 1990s, I owned a Texas-based National General contracting company serving large big box stores like Kmart, Walmart, and Barnes & Noble, etc. As the founder and CEO of the organization, it was my job to represent the company to our clients. It was one of these occasions where I was required to travel to Nogales, Arizona, to meet with the client's regional representatives to discuss a major upgrade project on their southwestern regional locations. Basically, I was present to wine, dine, and assure them we were the company for the project. Pretty straightforward business as usual. Although I previously mentioned wine, please understand that I did not drink, do drugs, or have any psychological issues to deal with. That morning, I flew into Phoenix, rented a car, and drove to Nogales. Nogales is an old town that rests on the USA-Texas border And I could sense the history and age as I drove through the town and up to the hotel I had booked. It was an older hotel, and its age showed, but seemed clean enough, so I took my bags to the room. At the time, I was carrying my laptop computer, and these were the days when laptops were large, clunky, and expensive, so I took very special care with them.
They're still clunky and expensive.
They're just less clunky now. They used to be bricks. I mean, heavy. I sat the laptop and my briefcase on the bed and my suitcase on a rack in the corner. It was a mild late afternoon, and I still had an hour or so to kill before I was to meet with the client for dinner at a local steakhouse. I pulled a cigar from my briefcase and set out to walk around the block to check out the area, and I smoked my cigar and strolled leisurely around until I was finished with the smoke and returned to my room. As I unlocked and entered the room, I sensed something strange and immediately felt myself tensing and becoming on guard. I looked at the bed and my heart sunk for a moment. My laptop was nowhere in sight. I checked the door and the back balcony, and it was locked. I just knew it had been stolen. As I turned to head to the office to make a report, I saw my laptop propped against the wall by the bed. This was something I would not do. I picked it up, opened it, and felt a great relief as all seemed okay. As I tried to rationalize what had happened, I considered the maid making a turn-down call, but frankly, this hotel was not that upscale, and the bed was not turned down. Had I left it there and just did not remember? Not very likely. I racked my brain and could not really develop a satisfactory answer. Time caught up with me, and I had to leave for dinner meeting, and I left the hotel and soon forgot about the incident. We had a good steak dinner and dealt with business, and I was back in the hotel room by 11:30 p.m. Soon I was off to sleep. Suddenly, around 1:30 a.m., I was abruptly awakened by a sound. It was the loud sound of water running. I laid there looking up, thinking maybe this old hotel does not have adequate insulation, and the person next door was taking a shower, but the sound was just too loud. I got up and went towards the sound. It was coming from my bathroom. I leaned into the doorway and turned on the light, half expecting to see a broken pipe or something similar. As my eyes adjusted to the light and hearing to the sound, I realized the sound was in the bathtub behind the shower curtain. I pulled back the curtain and saw water gushing from the bathtub faucet. At this point, you might think that I was just a sudden change in the water pressure or a faucet had gone bad.
That's really bad.
Yeah, maybe I had not turned it off completely and the pressure changed at night to make it run. First, I had not used the tub or shower. I usually shower in the mornings. I had only used the sink for wash up before bed. Secondly, and just most importantly, it took me 4 complete turns to stop the water.
Wow.
I guess whatever it was needed a bath. After a few minutes of contemplating this in the earlier afternoon event, I was not able to sleep for the rest of the night. The bathroom door was around the corner and just out of sight from the bed, and I lay there watching that corner of the room until sunrise. I packed, left town, and never looked back. Wow.
Huh.
Yeah, Don, you've got a background in hotels. Did you ever hear weird stories?
Actually, no.
Really?
Oddly enough, in the years I worked in hotels, I never heard ghost stories or anything like that.
Mm.
There's, I've had a few people arrested out and, that kind of thing, but nothing supernatural or paranormal. Yeah.
Mm.
No shadows or anything.
Wow.
Yeah. So no, I've led an uninteresting life.
Well, it's so common to hear stories like this.
Such, yeah.
Yeah, from hotels.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like every hotel has the jilted bride to be that, things went bad on the wedding day and she ended her journey and therefore haunts.
Into the parlor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't mean to chuckle, but yeah, I mean, it's a traditional story that seems to, if there's a hotel, there's probably a jilted bride story. And then there's the children's story. Oh, running down the stairs and fell and, got injured and
Fell down the stairs.
Yeah, fell down the stairs, fell down the elevator shaft or something. There's always a little kid story too. And so I think that these most likely are I don't know, just I don't know, urban legends for the most case, but maybe there's a few of them that are legitimate.
Yeah, well, there's always kind of a nugget of truth in all these stories somewhere.
Yeah.
It may be just the word "and" that binds everything together, but there's an element of truth.
Right. Well, there you have it. So that's another hotel story for the hotel story pile. And next, we go to another one from Phantoms and Monsters. And this is from yesterday. Hikers experience high strangeness along the trail. And I'm not sure what this one is, but let's check it out. 3 separate hiker accounts in which each experiencer became disoriented by a sudden strange fog that descends along the trail. Included are intense anxiety, delusions, and lost time.
Lost time.
I had an experience while hiking the Appalachian Trail. Well, there you go. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
There's so much going on the Appalachian Trail. I was hiking alone, coming back from an overnighter, and, well, it was supposed to be for 2 nights, but the first night was enough for me. At one point in the middle of the night, I felt like my whole tent was coming down on me. Even though my tent was colored green, there was a red tint, something like a red light off of a headlamp. It was very sudden, and I heard like a grunt and fell right back asleep.
What?
I don't know what it was. I just kind of brushed it off and the next morning. It was so sudden and everything happened so quickly that it was just like a bad dream. The red light. So we have heard stories of Sasquatch, have glowing red eyes,
right?
Like emitting light. And so that's what I'm thinking of, is especially when they said there was a grunt as well.
Well, yeah, but the thing that shocked me is they just went right back to sleep.
I know.
I didn't even think about it. I just went right back to sleep, and it glowed red through the green tent.
Yeah.
So
that's not normal. But anyway, maybe the whole situation was really not normal. And maybe they didn't really fall asleep. Maybe they're knocked out. But
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, after a morning rain shower while eating my breakfast, I decided to pack up and hike back to my car. When it stopped raining, I got my things together and left, and it was about 10 miles away from my car, hiking some steep rocky terrain. About halfway into it, there was this deep fog that settled in. It just kind of happened. I was standing there engulfed in fog. Now, the AT is well marked, so I had my bearings straight, but no matter what direction you looked, the fog made everything look like it was moving away from you. The intensity of the dense forest slowly moving away from you was a very ominous feeling. However, when I looked back from where I came from, it was clear and welcoming, like it was drawing me back. On top of that, I kept trying to convince myself to go back. Well, you didn't see that one waterfall. It's only a few miles that way. Did you pack your car keys? If you stop now and turn back, you can still make it back to your car, and these thoughts will fester. So I checked my bag for keys, knowing damn well I packed them. I ignored the thoughts and ever-growing intense fog surrounding me. I hiked on, thinking I'm starting to walk in circles, even though I'm walking the beaten path. And finally, as I reached an opening, the fog lifted. I get a sense of calm. You made it, I said to myself. I'm not sure if it was just anxiety that had me thinking like that, but I know what I felt and saw. The fog was so intense, the direction I needed to go, and every step I took, it only looked as though the forest and the trail kept getting more distant. But as I looked behind me, the trail was fine and inviting. Very crazy experience, to say the least. I have hiked around that area often. First time I ever had an experience like that. Intense paranoia and hallucinations. I haven't been to that area since. That's the first story. The next one is, my friends went hiking in the Yunque in Puerto Rico, and they tell a story of what happened while there. About 2 hours into their hike, the 3 of them were ahead while 2 were behind. The 3 ahead noticed that the 2 behind were suddenly very quiet, and they didn't feel or hear them walking anymore. They looked behind them, and they didn't see them. They went back a few yards, and they saw the couple just walking around in circles. They began calling out to them for a few minutes, but they never stopped to look at them, and just kept circling and throwing their arms up in the air like they were swatting flies or bugs or something. The 3 decided to walk closer to them and reach out and grab their arm, and it felt really cold, and suddenly they stopped and looked at them. When they asked them what they were doing, they said, "What do you mean? Did you not notice all the fog?" So only they saw the fog? Well, at first they didn't see them. Then they took some steps back and saw them walking in circles, waving their arms around. Okay. So apparently the two people were experiencing a fog that the other people didn't see. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah.
It turns out that no one else noticed the very thick fog around them except for the couple. They couldn't see anything in front of them because they stated that the fog was so thick and cold. They said they couldn't see the trees anymore, or the or the three people ahead of them, excuse me. And all they saw was the thick fog and felt cold. There was nothing else around, and they were trying to walk away from the fog but couldn't, almost as though it was holding them in place. No one noticed it when my friend reached out to touch them. It just all faded instantly. I don't know what's in that wilderness, but I'm in no way trying to find out either. It's creepy to me. It feels like the forest is alive.
Wow.
Oof. And then there's a third one. This is going to sound crazy, but I hope there's someone else who experienced this. I went to Yosemite National Park to visit in the fall of 2018, and I decided to take a hike alone. Yosemite, I think, is about the worst one as far as the weird stuff, according to David Paulides' work, I think,
Right.
if I'm recalling correctly. It was around 9 a.m. when I started along the trail. Along the way, I started to feel uneasy, then incredibly serene, thoughtless, just peaceful out of nowhere. A thick fog fell over the path I was walking, and as I was walking, it seemed to get thicker and thicker. I sat for what I felt was 30 or 40 minutes, but because of the fog, it was difficult to see. But I'm not a first-time hiker there, so I knew my route back. When I got back to the start of the trail, which was only an hour back, it was 6:30 p.m. All my calls and texts started to influx at the same time, as if I had no service. There was no way I spent that many hours on that hike. To this day, I have no idea what happened. Did I have delusions, or did something unexplainable just happen? So what I think of in these instances is, of course, the missing 411. Is this what happens to those people that go missing?
Right.
Is this what they experience? And if not for either their own tenacity or having other people reach out and touch them,
Right.
I mean, could that have been what would have happened to these people? Were they being taken, by some measure, by some phenomena?
Well, you can never tell because, we have, we talk about fairy rings and how you're transported through fairy rings. And we talk about, the fogs and things like that, and time slips and dimension shifts and things like this. So, I mean, who's to say that doesn't precede a dimension shift of some type or something
Right.
like that?
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I think it could be connected.
It seems kind of odd. I know that, the forest is a different world. It really is.
It is.
Those of you that just live in cities and stuff, it's hard to understand. But when you're in a true forest, you feel like you're a million miles away from the things that you expect.
Well, even just out where I am, and I'm out there shoveling snow at 4:30 in the morning. It's like, all I got is a headlamp on, and it's like, what was that noise? I know there's turkeys in the woods, but they don't sound like that.
Ooh.
That kind of thing. So, honestly, it gets creepy.
There's creepy stuff
when you're out there and there's no lights anywhere.
Yeah, I'll bet. Especially when it's dark and snowy.
Yeah.
And the snow gives you a bit of light. It's kind of weird the way snow. Well,
Yeah.
Again, for those of you that don't live around snow, the nights in snowy areas are always a little bit brighter, but they can still get pretty dark.
Yeah.
In the forest, it gets dark.
Well, and they can still get dark even though, no moonlight. The cloud cover would cover the moonlight.
Yeah.
It would have, but yeah, clear nights in snow are bright. It's like daylight almost.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's horrible.
Horrible stuff, especially when you're trying to sleep. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
I don't care. I can sleep through daytime.
Yeah.
Don't matter to me none. All right. Well, those are those three. We got about 6 minutes left. Let's see what we got. This is one that he had about the Lockheed Martin scientist, but I think it's going to be a little long. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a little long, but we're going to talk about this when we come back from the break because this is one of those cool ones, and it was Lockheed Martin's senior scientist deathbed disclosure factual. So we're going to look into that, and that was submitted on January 12th, 2022 by Lon and his on his Phantoms and Monsters, but it's a if basically the guy was saying, yeah, we've reverse engineered things. We've got things that all of you don't know about.
Right.
And he definitely kind of had his own personal disclosure. And so it'll be interesting to see what this article says, because other than his words, I don't know if anybody was able to corroborate or debunk what he said, but I imagine a deathbed confession's got to have some gravity to it. Like, these are the last words you're going to say in this life. So would you just, decide to just spread a bunch of bunk before you go?
Right.
I can't imagine that would be the case. Could you?
No, I wouldn't think they'd want. I think they'd literally come clean, in their last moments. I mean, what have they got to be afraid of?
Right.
They're already dying.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Their life's at an end.
Yep.
Why lie?
Right. That's what my position is. If there's a deathbed confession,
Yeah,
it's probably the real thing. I mean, at least it's got to be either the person genuinely believes what they're telling you, and maybe they're delusional, but at least they believe in any case, whether it's factual or maybe not, they believe that it's got to be the truth, So I don't know that he had any kind of mental disorders in his final days, but yeah, I'm excited to check that out because I'd like to believe it's real. It seems to make sense to me that, we've got some stuff. We've certainly heard enough varied claims of recovered craft and stuff that are reverse engineered. There's Bob Lazar's whole stories and such. So wouldn't surprise me at all, folks, if that is indeed the case. But we got about 4 minutes left, so let's revisit that article we were working through. Read the next one. This one's prison sentence. Okay. So I was serving in Iraq. My unit and I were staying in a former prison in Baghdad, and during the night we would see and hear strange things. The base at that time had no civilians living in it, but we would hear children playing from inside the prison. One day we decided to dig deeper into this mystery to see where all these kids were. When we finally found where the noises were coming from, we found a room with the ceiling caved in. We didn't find any kids, but instead we found kids' books, toys, and clothes. Everything looked like it hadn't been moved in weeks. We continued to hear the kids in the year we spent there. That was by General So 81. He's got great chicken. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's probably some kind of impression anyway. It could very well just be residual, but at any rate, it's cool. Number 48, Kitty Power. I was stupidly talking on my phone while walking home one night, and I saw a man who was talking to himself near a park, and I deliberately chose to walk down another street just to avoid him. He seemed really off. In the middle of my phone conversation, this orange cat came up beside me and started walking next to me. We walked in tandem for about 3 blocks. I was telling the person I was talking to on the phone how funny it was that I had this new cat friend, and suddenly the cat turned around and headed back the other way. I was going to say goodbye to my new friend when I saw that same man I'd seen earlier, and he had changed his original direction and had been following me for a few blocks, and then things got even more bizarre. The cat got in between us and howled at him until he turned around and went the other way. Then the cat and I walked in another block together, at which point he peeled off into a yard. I double-checked and the man had disappeared, and I can't be sure that the man wished me harm, but I know I wouldn't have noticed him if it weren't for the cat. I never believed in guardian angels or anything of that sort until I had that experience. That was by M.G. Nori, N-O-I-R-Y. Very cool. And if you check out the latest podcast, you'll hear a lot of stories of animals coming to the aid of people. Very cool stories, I think, anyway. I don't know. I thought it was good. Did you, Don?
I thought it was good. Yeah, I did. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope you guys will check that out. But we are about a minute away
From the last break?
From the last break. Can you believe it? The time has been going so fast. But that's the way it rolls here on the portal, folks. Don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow as well. I think Sheldon will be joining me tomorrow night here on the portal.
Excellent.
And we'll be diving back into all of this fun. So if you're hanging out, not knowing what to do, then come hang out with us. We'll be sure to do our best to entertain you as well as we can. But I don't know. Let's see. Is Paisley doing a show tonight?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right. So I guess we can't make that announcements. Let's see. What is there to announce, Don? Help me out here. We got a minute, 30 seconds before the break.
I don't know.
That was a lot. You ate up about 10 of them. It was like a 10-second That was a good breath, though. All right. Well, folks, we're going to go to our last break. Don't go away. And again, if you're new, we got to take the breaks because we're on the networks as well. So we got to do half-hour breaks. Not because we're lazy, but because we got to adhere to the schedule. So.
And we like being lazy.
Well, we might be lazy, but that's not why we're taking the breaks. So, all right, folks, there's the bell. So we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Don't go away for the last half hour of our journey and an article by Mr. Brent Swanser. Don't go away. right, folks, we are in the last stretch of the show tonight. It's gone extraordinarily quickly, but I hope you've had a good time, and I hope you're feeling entertained. Because that's our goal, right, Don?
Yes.
Why, yes, it is.
Why, certainly.
We would like for you to feel entertained before you leave.
Unable to connect to chat. Please try again later.
Oh, I don't know.
That's crazy.
We don't have any issues here, do we? Nope. No, got an excellent connection there.
It's buffering.
Buffering. Okay.
Buffering.
Get a room.
Whoa.
Thank you.
I think that's buffering.
Oh, is that what that
Says
is?
connect
Okay.
to internet, yeah.
Okay.
No internet connection. How did I get put on airplane mode? I guess that would do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'll definitely do it. You get on airplane mode, Don, and all bets are off as far as connecting the internets.
Wow, that's crazy.
Well, you're here.
That's true.
All right, so we got one article to go through right now, and this is a showcase article, of course. I love showcasing articles by our good friend, Mr. Brent Swanser, and this is one that he just released as well. So we got all kinds of brand new things cooking here, fresh off the paranormal buffet for all of you. But this is a pretty cool article, it looks like. I haven't read it through. Well, we'll read it through together, but of course this comes from mysteriousuniverse.org. That's where he publishes most of his work, and it's a great site. So definitely check out mysteriousuniverse.org, because if you love the paranormal, doggone it, you're going to love mysteriousuniverse.org, because there are thousands of articles there, much like Phantoms and Monsters. True. It's another one of those pillars of the paranormal community, and Mysterious Universe is also a podcast, and it's also the home of Brent Swanser, which is, I'm a little biased, but I think he's the best out there in terms of researching all kinds of cool, strange things and writing compelling articles about it. But this article is A Family's Very Strange Close Encounters with Bigfoot. Now, I think all of us, those of you that are into the paranormal, into the Bigfoot community, have probably heard people's claims that they've had close relationships with Bigfoot. And I find these stories incredibly interesting, because I do believe these beings are quite intelligent and probably human-like in their emotional range. I think that their intelligence is different than ours in many ways, but also as far as just emotional range, I think they're in the same ballpark. I think that you won't ever see a Bigfoot changing a transmission in a car or building a rocket, but they have a different kind of intelligence, and it's I think it's both tribal and it's survival and environmental kind of intelligence. But I think that they would be very capable of having close relational bonds with people. I don't find that surprising at all if they are as intelligent as we believe they are. I think for the most part they choose not to, but maybe through a course of time and through established trust, they're able to create a connection with people. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I hope that these are true. I really do. I can't say that I know they are, but I hope they are. We've had Kevin Lang on the show, who passed away now, but he had a childhood experience with a Bigfoot that he knew as Glag, and a fascinating story. If you go into our archives, you can hear it, or you can find his story elsewhere on the internet as well. But just some really interesting tales, and there are many others like it. So let's see what's going on in this article. A Family's Very Strange Close Encounters with Bigfoot. Also, speaking of Brent Swanser, if you want to keep up with him or get to know him personally, you can do so by joining his group on Facebook, which is called Dark League Paranormal. And it's a fun group. He's a great bunch of people there, always having fascinating discussions. And it's a weekend. They always do movie clips, favorite movie clips on the weekends on there. So it's always a good time. Brings back a lot of memories a lot of times. Oh, yeah, I remember that movie. I love that movie. So let's get into this article and find out just what's going on here. This is as of January 11th, 2022, again from mysteriousuniverse.org. And it says, by far one of the most well-known and well-cited cryptids in history is none other than Bigfoot, also called Sasquatch, a veritable rock star of cryptozoology. These huge hairy hominids have been cited and searched for, all over North America, and have often been some rather strange and curious accounts indeed. Yet even more bizarre than sightings of Bigfoot are the occasional tales of people claiming to actually live in close contact with these mysterious creatures, making detailed observations and even forming bonds with them and communicating with them. It is truly unique phenomena that is every bit as bizarre as you might expect. This particular phenomenon is typically called Bigfoot habituation. Sorry, I just tripped over my own tongue there. The witness is often referred to as contactees, and one can almost envision it as sort of a similar to Diane Fossey and her gorillas living together and studying each other. There are numerous such cases, and one fairly major account of Bigfoot habituation comes from the wilderness of Washington State in the United States and revolves around a witness named Sally Shepard Woolford and her family, also being an account that perhaps transcends just hairy hominid encounters to truly catapult to the realms of high strangeness. Woolford lived near the town of Ording, Washington,
Yep.
in the 70s, along with her daughter, Autumn, around which much of the tale seems to gravitate. They lived here in a rustic, modern, somewhat disheveled cabin, described as an 11 by 33 foot wooden box with holes in the floor and a cold water faucet. Oh man, they're made of a better metal than I. Surrounded by quaint wilderness and a sea of trees, but almost as soon as they moved in, there was strangeness afoot. And Woolford says in an interview with Jeffrey Pritchett of the Church of Mabus radio show of this day, when we walked out to view the river, I knew we would live there. When we turned to walk back, my ex yelled, "Race ya!" and disappeared into the woods. I couldn't recall where we'd come out, so I took the most obvious path. I picked wildflowers as I walked, expecting him to do something to scare me, like jumping out from behind a bush and screaming. That was when I noticed the woods had become dark and completely quiet. When I looked up, the sky was filled with ominous rolling clouds. I shivered and realized I was not alone, and the presence I felt was not that of my husband. I screamed his name and turned to run. Then a terrible smell wafted by on the sodden breeze. On the sodden breeze. What's a sodden breeze?
I have no idea.
Okay. I don't know either. The woods erupted behind me, and I turned toward the sound of ripping foliage. As I watched, something huge and hairy disappeared into the trees. Charged by waves of fear, I began running again, but I tripped over a root and landed in a wet sand. And I laid there, still catching my breath. When I looked up, I noticed the sky had returned to normal. Puffy white clouds stretched peacefully in a pale blue sky. Birds twittered from hidden perches. The fragrance of spring in the forest filled the air. The presence was gone. I summoned up my last bit of courage and retraced my steps until I came upon the spot where I had dropped my flowers. Off to the side of the path, it looked like a tank had gone through the thick underbrush. Sodden means wet, says R. Stahlbaum. Thank you.
Oh, okay. But
I appreciate it.
Sodden air. Wet air.
Yeah, moist air, damp.
Moist
Okay.
air, damp, yeah.
It looked like a tank had gone through the thick underbrush. The destruction just stopped. I looked for a place where something that large could have gone further, but there was none. Broken branches hung like dead snakes, and I looked up into the overhanging limbs, and I spied a tuft of brown hair caught on one. It was too far up for me to reach, but I finally managed with the aid of a stick. When I pulled it down, I winced at the rancid smell. I would never forget, and that's when it hit me just how huge that shape had been. The funny thing was, it had run away just like I had. We had scared each other. For the next 4 years, the family was supposedly frequently visited by these Bigfoot-like creatures, with countless sightings of the beast lurking around, usually coming in quite closely, and often they were seen by friends and neighbors as well. There were also many such incidents when she and her daughter were together. Woolford gives one such odd encounter thus. We came around a bend on one of the trails behind our cabin, and standing in the dappled shade of the trees were an adult Sasquatch and his much smaller companion. I couldn't have moved if I'd wanted to. With my 3-year-old daughter by my side, I stood frozen in place until the adult broke eye contact. He cocked his head and looked down at the fur coat I was wearing as if to say, "What kind of animal are you?" At that point, my instincts kicked in. I spoke softly when I told Autumn her to turn around and walk, honey, don't run. When she was safely out of sight, I turned and followed. The two Sasquatch never moved. When we returned to our cabin, we crawled into bed. My husband was livid when he came home from work because there was no wood to burn.
Tough luck.
I told him we were sick because I had no other excuse for being in bed. I did not remember that meeting on the trail for over 20 years. What I remember most is the eyes, full of intelligence, and they were about twice the size of my own, and no whites were visible. The color was brown, but they had greenish tints and were covered with the sort of convex lens like a cat. And they were not the eyes of an animal. I had the feeling they looked deep into my soul. Much of this was intertwined with a great deal of other mysterious occurrences, such as myriad light anomalies that appeared in the forest. And Wolfers says that often the Sasquatch that appeared would have these orbs surrounding them or wreaths of tiny lights, like fireflies orbiting their heads and shoulders. She says of one such encounter, "One night I was looking out the kitchen window and saw the tall, dark form of a Sasquatch walking down the path toward the river. Surrounding his head and upper torso were tiny twinkling white lights. When I tapped on the window, the lights went out, like someone had flipped a switch, and he was swallowed in darkness. It was all very bizarre, and besides sightings of mystery lights and Bigfoot, there was also the unusual detail in that Wolford claims that at the time she was also frequently visited by a spectral Native American elderly gentleman who she calls the Dreamwalker. This stranger would apparently take her on journeys into the past, guiding her through the history of the Bigfoot of the valley, showing her the early life of the native Chinook tribe and their beliefs and way of life, and the two of them roaming around the landscape together and extending out past the reach of time into the past. She says of these excursions, "These journeys, for the most part, were quite disturbing, for they showed me the fate of both the natives and the Sasquatch as they were pushed further into the forest or violently disposed of, and I was given hope for the future of Sasquatch in the form of Dreamwalker's last words to me. Remember all I have shown you, and teach your young ones. I will not be here to remind you. Make sure the children believe in what they cannot touch or see. To one of you a girl child has been born. She has the sunbeams in her hair. One day I will come to her as I have come to you. She too will learn the ways of our people and Skookum." It did not occur to me at the time that he was describing my daughter, Autumn. As to who Dreamwalker is, I will answer you thus. In one of our later journeys, it was the present time, and he led me down the path behind Yowdy's cabin. I walked around a curve on the path between the huge rotting logs that had been deposited by some ancient flood, and there stood the adult Sasquatch I now know. I had met on the path. One minute he was there, and the next Dreamwalker stood in his place. That answered the question for me, but I leave it to others to decide for themselves. With so many incidents of utter strangeness surrounding them, one might think that Wolford might take Bigfoot to be some sort of spiritual entity or even an alien. But she seems to think that that is not necessarily the case, tending to believe that they are an unknown form of prehistoric man, although she entertains other possibilities. Considering all the other phenomena witnessed upon the land, Wolford was asked her opinion on whether the Bigfoot she had been seeing were related to aliens and the UFO phenomena, to which she answers, "I've thought long and hard on this question, and I don't know that there is a connection, but I wouldn't rule it out. The fact that we experienced both along with many other anomalies during our time in the valley could lead one to that conclusion, but the fact that so many strange things happened in one place could be caused by something else entirely. There are so many things that science seems to ignore or can't explain. I've looked into the possibility that of a vortex in the area or a junction of ley lines. Native Americans have looked at certain areas near Mount Rainier as sacred for centuries. Sal Shepard Wolford has written extensively on these unusual experiences in her book, Valley of the Skookum, 4 Years of Encounters with Bigfoot. If you want to know more, we are left to wonder just what to make of all of this. What sort of unknown mysteries are swirling about this family, if any? What is with the more mystical aspects of it? What does any of it mean? Do Bigfoot really congregate around certain people, and if so, why? Are they unable to provide better evidence of their wild stories? It remains to be seen, and for the time being, the case of Sally Shepard Wolford is one of the most in-depth and outright bizarre cases of Bigfoot contactees around, whether any of it is real or not. That's a really cool story. Yeah, I'm not familiar with this at all.
Yeah, I'm not either. Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe there is a wisdom to these things. Maybe there is a depth to these things that we can't explain. God knows so many people have talked about what weird things they've witnessed with their own eyes. We had a caller to the show once talk about seeing one only from the waist up, and the waist down was just not there.
Right.
And then seeing it finally disappear in front of them. So I don't know. I don't pretend to know, but I know that they at least part of the time are very physical beings because they leave footprints. They're seen eating.
Right.
They're witnessed interacting with physical objects regularly, including when she scared it, it exploded and tore off all that greenery as it ran away.
Right.
So they are a physical thing, but maybe they're not entirely from here. Maybe this isn't really their complete home, or maybe their home is much more dynamic than ours. Like we exist totally in this. We think we exist totally in this dimensional existence, but I have a feeling that we are a very multidimensional being too, because we dream, we can astral project, we can do all these other things that clearly aren't happening in our physical world.
Right.
So are these demonstrations of us being a multidimensional entity? I believe it is. I think that we are. We just have lost those parts of ourselves for whatever reason.
Well, you know what I could tell you for sure.
Yeah.
The Bigfoot in the Book of Boba Fett this last week.
Yes.
That was intimidating.
Oh yeah, that thing was huge. That thing was enormous. Yeah, it's a Wookiee, but by God,
I think they're related. I think they're related. But it's really, the stories are just so varied, like you said.
Yeah.
And they're just so, and some of them are pretty in depth. You've got the Albert Osman.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the other stories out there.
Bauman.
The Bauman incident, yeah. This one, and you've just got all these, and then you've got Kevin Lang, and his story of Glegg, like you mentioned earlier, and they just seem to be so intertwined in a lot of ways, but they're so varied in their the contact,
Yeah.
So
and the context,
the context, yeah, exactly.
It makes you wonder if there isn't a range of ability in them as well. Like
Right.
there are some that are just animalistic and existing
Right.
In whatever way they came out of the evolution of species, but there seems to be others that are more, or maybe they're all something more, but some of them are maybe some of them are capable of the more. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it's something they grow into.
Well, yeah, and maybe some of them never, maybe some of them are muggles. I mean,
it's true though. That's a good point,
Yeah.
because there's a range of people. There's some
Yes.
people that just are magical, and then there's other people that are just mundane as hell.
Well, so the supposed mudbloods were like the children born of non-magical parents, and then you have the squibs. They
didn't have much ability.
Yeah, they don't have they come from magical families, but they have not much, if any.
Yeah,
like the keeper of Hogwarts,
Mr. Filch.
Filch, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Argus Filch. Yeah.
Maybe that's maybe that's a thing too.
Maybe it is.
I mean, humans. There are humans that are born that have common sense, and there are humans that are born that just don't
bricks.
have any. Yeah, they're about as dense as a brick. You're right.
That's an interesting point, because if you look at it in terms of intelligence, there's some people born that are able to go to college as children.
Yeah.
And then there's others that can hardly, and this isn't a disparaging remark, but just they're not geared to the academic lifestyle at all, and barely can finish school, if they finish school at all. That's not a measure of the person. It's just obviously showing a disparity in ability.
Right. Well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't get out and, because,
Sure.
there's book
Yeah.
learning and then there's, hands-on learning. And,
Right.
That person could be an engineer, but they just can't go to school and get,
Right.
the official, but they could sit and solder and put circuits together and create,
Yeah.
things like what that Microsoft guy did, that idiot.
Yeah, exactly. That idiot. Well, it's anybody's guess, but I think there's
and that's right, Brooks. Yeah, there's Snow White on what is her name?
Kristen Stewart.
No. Snow White, Lady of the Woods. Is it Lady of the Woods?
I don't know.
She's one of our chatters that hasn't been here. Talks to Carrie Arnold a lot. In Carrie Arnold's show, is it Lady of the Woods? No, Snow White. They're different people.
Okay.
But anyhow, I think that's correct. But she has contacts. She's a contactee.
Oh, okay.
And she interacts with them. Yeah. So
Well, there you go.
That's
I mean,
right.
it's very possible. Yes, I think that maybe there is something to this. It's hard for our traditional Western thinking to wrap itself around this. Mine, I struggle with it too. I'll be perfectly honest, but I really do keep an open mind because I certainly have a logical bias in my thinking.
We like to think we have a logical bias.
Right. I mean, I really do, because I really do break this stuff down as to like almost obsessively, but I do find that there's possibilities based on example, and by example, I mean of stories we've heard or come across or what I've experienced personally. So like I do have a logical bias, but I've experienced so many weird things myself
Right.
that I can't
You can't
be
nail
clinical
it down.
about it. Yeah,
Exactly.
I have to be open-minded to it because I can't explain the things I've experienced. So how am I to say that somebody else's experiences are any less valid? So I think it's amazing, but that's the journey. That's the journey we're on, folks, where we're neck deep in the paranormal all the time, I think. But, sometimes I really do think that. Like, I think that we are surrounded by a world of magic, that literally what we would define as magic, but maybe it's just the natural world that the true nature, as I've always said on the show. But anybody's guess, folks. But, I think that the journey is what's fun, and these stories are really incredible because they continue to make you look, and they continue to make you think.
Right.
And if at the end of the day, if that's all you get from it is just entertaining a possibility, that's a good thing.
Right.
Because I think that life is learning to express ourselves and learning to expand ourselves, and part of the expansion is getting out of your box.
Right. Exactly.
If you sit in your box all the time,
Yep.
you're going to stagnate.
Yeah. You expand your consciousness.
Right. And so that's one of the things that I hope to accomplish, and I hope that is happening for all of you out there, is that the show is helping you to expand your consciousness. Yeah. Not that that I'm coming across as some kind of expert or teacher or anything, but I like this journey. I'm on this with you guys. I'm here with you. That's why I'm doing it. Not because I have the answers, but because I got so many questions.
Yeah.
And that's part of what I'm doing, and that's what I'm sure a lot of you are doing. You're here, and of course, look, watching Don and I do our stupid crap.
Stumble through our nights.
Stumble through our lives and nights. It's certainly entertaining in and of its own. But, at the very least, I hope you guys walk away from these shows, asking those questions and looking for the answers. Right. And if any of you out there find topics or stories that you'd like to have us discuss on the show, by all means, let me know via email at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Let me know if you've come across a topic or an article that you think, wow, this is really interesting. Send it over. I have no problem expanding, what we're doing on the show. If you see there's something we're not touching on and you'd like us to talk about it, send me some articles about it. We'll dive into it. I love that because I always want to give you guys the show you want to see. Right, Don?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Think I'll stay in my wee box. Thanks for all the same. Well, Paz, there's comfort in the box. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, life is about expanding. So you got to expand a little bit. You got to at least throw the ideas around to some degree, but
Right.
to each his own. If you're in the box, it's okay. As long as you're here with us hanging out, brother, I'm good with it. I think your box is pretty cool. That sounded horrible. Oh, God. Oh, man, I wish I could take that back.
Yeah, I'm not even touching that one.
Oh, not even you?
No.
Oh, my God. A first on the portal, ladies and gentlemen. Even Don wouldn't touch it. That didn't sound right either. God damn.
You don't recognize a setup when you hear one, right?
Man, I walk right into those things, don't I? That's it for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night.